There.
We are live.
We're live.
We are
I'm
live.
busy playing around, doing some FedEx tracking on a present.
Probably shouldn't show that. I shouldn't show your screen then.
No, you probably shouldn't. Oh, how is everybody today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, that's good. Steve and I had some fun trying to figure out what happened with the audio last week. I took a bunch of notes right afterwards to try to map out exactly what went wrong. The symptom was I combined my microphone and Hindenburg into a single virtual source called YouTube Live Input, and that goes to Steve and Mimo Live, which gets you the audio of me and my audio recording application in YouTube, and in
and we're getting the stuttering.
into Discord.
Oh, no, it's back.
Do you have Wi-Fi turned off?
Yeah.
Oh, my Wi-Fi did not turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Grip that should have done that.
Well, if it goes away, then we've verified the cause.
Well, we already knew that was the cause. There you go. There's my little dingy. No, it just turned Wi-Fi back on. Look at that. Why is that happening? That's interesting. So do you have Wi-Fi turned off, Steve?
Yes. And
Okay,
your
audio stuttering.
adjust your the audio stuttering seems to have stopped. Yeah, there you go.
No, Wheels says it's stuttering. Sandy says
He's on a delay. He's on a delay, so he's hearing what happened a while ago.
Okay.
It stopped
Anybody
recently.
who was hearing the stuttering, okay, did it stop stuttering?
Lindsay confirms it stopped.
No, she confirmed it's not stuttering. That's a different question. I was hearing, okay, now she has. Okay.
Yeah, Discord you would not hear it. It's only on YouTube.
Huh. Why?
Because it's the audio from YouTube that stutters. The Mimo audio, not the direct audio to YouTube. Also, you're still a little bit low on the camera. You don't. There you go.
He likes to see it.
That's good.
Well, you don't want people to see.
Oh.
Hang on.
The cat. Oh, the tree.
Cat and the tree. Steve put up a tree for me.
Yeah, took a while.
Okay, so you interrupted me talking about the stuttering, but I was trying to get across a point was so the basic thing that you should be hearing is my voice and the voice from Hindenburg, my audio editor. But what happened last week was, first of all, Hindenburg stopped coming through, and then eventually my voice stopped coming through. I do not know what caused it, and we did a bunch of analysis, and we still don't know. So that's good. But just in case it happens, I will probably stop and do some more analysis if it happens, to try to catch a little more of it. So
let's do a playback test.
yeah, I usually do. Let me make sure I'm recording on the right mic and that sort of thing. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan, and this is the best show ever. Let's try this playback. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan, and this is the best show ever. My input says low.
That sounded good to me. How about chat room? Did you hear that playback? No.
This roll call? No, we forgot roll call. It's Alistair's
yes,
here.
no, yes.
You're right, Alistair. We've got Frank and Jill and John and Mike and Rick and Sandy and Mark and Michael and Alistair in New Zealand. And over in the sidebar, we have, where's Marianne Gary is in Discord right now. She should be in the live show. Let's see. Did I say Rick? And we got another Mark and Frank and maybe Zoe. I don't know if it's Zoe's in here or Zoe's just playing around with some bacon. I had it not. Was that
I think you meant heard.
Oh, and PDX Kurt. Oh, and Alan is incognito.
Welcome, Kurt.
You never know with old Alan. Okay, so let me look at my mic input. Hello. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, nice ears, buddy. There. Okay. My audio input is not very high on Hindenburg, and that's not what we want.
How's your interface volume?
That's where the input is controlled,
Okay.
is on my interface, so it sounded a bit high. I'll bring this down. I'm going to bring the intro down even more. Okay. I think, well, it wants me to save. Oh, Steve.
Yes.
Kevin sent us a
That's right.
photo that he authorized. He asked Steve if he would post a photo of him. He's improving. He's doing better. Might be home by the end of the week.
There is our trusty wingman. And he's sporting the Macstock shirt.
Yep.
Is that the virtual? No, that's not the virtual one, is it? That's last year's.
It might be. I forget. All right. I'm going to close the door before I start recording here.
Yeah, here's the thing. No, hopefully that's not actually attached to him, Sandy.
Yep.
I don't think it is.
Do you know what size shirt he wears? An ever-shrinking shirt. How much did he say he's lost?
I
want to say 200 pounds.
It was a lot.
It was something
It
like
was
that.
more than a Steve.
Yeah, it was more than a Steve. Yeah, he's. It was definitely more than 100. I thought he said 200, and I can't believe it's 200. I mean, that seems insane. And he says he wants to lose another 70. So I'm not sure how big he is.
He's not as big in Virginia as he was, but he's still technically big in Virginia.
Yeah. Okay. Rick says it was on that order of magnitude. So I'm not on that order of magnitude. So it wasn't 1,000 pounds.
We're not off by a factor of 10. That's good to know.
Oh, okay. Well, we aren't making any real progress here.
No,
but
we
that's
should.
Okay.
We should get going here.
No, the show's not going to be that long anyway. It's going to be less than usual, but I'll vamp and make it work. All right, I think I will mute Steve. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, December 6, 2020, and this is show number 813. You know, normally I like to write you epic tomes where I dig deep into some arcane subject, or at least I tell a long rambling tale, but this week I've got some short and to the point segments instead. Even Security Bits was relatively short this week, but Bart and I managed to entertain ourselves, so I think you'll enjoy it. In the show, I'm going to be telling you about a new update to an application called Feeder 4, and that's the application I use to create the podcast feed. That's basically the magic that delivers the show to you every week. I do it with Feeder. Anyway, I caused kind of a mess with my feeds, and I got Steve Harris, the developer of Feeder, in a chat with me to untangle what I'd done. While we were chatting and cleaning things up, he idly mentioned that you can share subscriptions and in-app purchases now in Apple's family sharing for the app stores. I believe my exact response to him was, "Way to bury the lead." You know, we've been talking for like 20 minutes and he just suddenly just idly drops that. And I was blown away by this. He said they dropped the news that it was coming during WWDC, but I had never heard that they were doing that. So to be clear, what we're talking about is in the past, if you got a subscription for software such as Steve's iOS Keep It mobile app, and Keep It is kind of like an Evernote substitute. If you got a subscription for it, only you could use it, even if you had family sharing, because it was a subscription. Likewise, if there was, say, an in-app purchase like maybe a game level or filters on a photo app that you did in-app purchases, you couldn't share those with your family members either. That has definitely stopped me from doing certain subscriptions to know that it's only for me, and if Steve wants to use it or one of my kids, we can't all use it for that fee. As I was showing my delight at the news from Steve, he started poking around and he discovered that the app developer has to enable it. He wondered whether other developers even knew about it, so he took a screenshot and he tweeted it out after we finished chatting. He asked me if I'd add some signal boost to his tweet to make sure developers knew they have to turn it on, so I did, and I requested the signal boost from my followers as well. I Slacked and Facebooked it with the same request. Within less than a half an hour of he and I tweeting it, Mac Rumors picked it up, and shortly after that, Federico Viticci of Mac Stories retweeted him, even with his screenshot, and after that, everyone knew that this was happening. Now, I'm telling you all of this because if your favorite app gets family sharing of in-app purchases, I plan on taking 50% credit. If it doesn't, contact the developer to make sure they know that it can be done. You may also have to enable sharing of new subscriptions on your devices. You'll find a toggle in your account settings, and I put a link in the show notes to family sharing for App Store subscriptions in Mac Rumors, the article they wrote after Steve wrote his tweet.
Well, Shai joined us.
Shai.
Yeah.
Howdy, Shai.
Hey, Shai. Welcome.
Didn't you tell me that he tweeted or Facebooked or something really amazing this week that you were super excited about?
Oh, yeah. It was an analysis of The Girl from Ipanema, the song. Shai, thank you. That was really deep. But it's how the song has evolved. It's a breakdown by a musical expert, someone who knows music, plays music, probably composes, and talked about the changes it's undergone since its creation, its roots, how it evolved when it came to the U.S., and the changes it's undergone. It was just an incredible video.
Well,
and
cool.
And the guy on top of that, the fellow who produced the YouTube video is a good YouTube video producer. I mean, he knows how to make a video it keeps your attention, shall we say. But it's a great song.
that's
Did you
cool.
know that that is the second most recorded song in the world? Girl from
didn't.
Ipanema. I don't think he said what the first was, and I kept wondering, well, what is the first? Maybe Shai knows.
The most recorded?
Recorded. So like, meaning, other people have picked it up, have covered it, and released it as their own. And I don't know if it includes live
Mark
performances.
says it's White Christmas.
That makes sense.
It's
That
also
makes
perhaps
sense.
the most common song for hold music. I've never.
Yeah, hold music, elevators, all sorts of background stuff.
Why don't
But
you
that's
hum
not-
it for us so that we know what it is?
It'd be better if Shai. We should enable Shai's audio. I don't think I can do it justice.
Shai, you want to sing it for us?
By the way, when you look at the chord progressions, the chord changes, and how they've played with the chords, it's no wonder I can't sing it. It's very complex. I can't sing
Kurt
a song.
says it's Louie Louie is the first. Oh, Frank saw it too. There, Alistair sang
Alistair,
it for
well
you.
done. I can hear it now.
Something like that, right?
Yep, you got it. All right.
Wait. Okay, Shai's laughing either at me singing or I don't. Maybe he's going to make us a recording. We'll just see how bored he is in quarantine.
Can we
right?
enable someone's mic?
Yeah. Let's see. I know I can. Let me see. Let me right click on
That would be presumptuous of us to.
invite to server.
Let's
I
move
can
on.
kick him or ban him or disconnect him. Roles. I could make him a wingman. Oh, I can move him to everyone. Oh no, that would move him to everyone can talk.
Well, he could go to the other,
The everyone can talk.
and everyone could listen.
All right. Oh, he says I'm looking up the lyrics. Happy to give it a go.
Okay. While you're
we
doing that, Shai, maybe Allison does another segment. We all prepare, and I'll look for ways to enable audio.
Look in the settings for the server, and what you're looking for is roles.
Got
I
it.
mean, you could give. I don't know whether wingman can talk.
No.
Wingman or wingwoman can talk. I
No.
don't think we. I don't think we let them talk. All right. I'm gonna do probably 2 segments, and then we'll come back.
All right.
Can he just click the red mic on the left?
Mm,
I don't have a red
no.
mic. No, we don't have
No,
privileges for
it's not
anybody
enabled.
but us.
Not in this live show chat.
And that is on purpose that people can't do that. Okay, muting Steve. Well, it's been killing me holding in this particular secret for months, but I got to be the guest on the latest episode of the Code Newbie podcast with Saranyat Barak. Code Newbie interviews developers about their coding journey. She draws out their guests about like how they learned to code, what bad and good advice they got along the way, and a lot about how they feel about coding. It's kind of a touchy-feely thing. It's not about language. It's about what does it feel like and how did you learn and that sort of thing. The diversity of our audience, of the people she interviews is absolutely fantastic. So you really start to be able to paint a picture of what coding is like by learning how all these different kinds of people got to where they are today. They're in different, they learn different languages. They're from different diverse backgrounds. She even recently had a guy on who is a convicted felon. He was convicted of murder, and his coding journey, that was probably one of the most fascinating ones. Anyway, the one thing I noticed was that they hadn't really covered what it's like to learn to code later in life. So I volunteered my own story, and they decided to interview me. As Alistair Jenks pointed out, you may have heard some or even all of my stories on my background and my journey to become a coder, but I think it's a really cool interview, so I hope you'll go listen over at codenewbie.org. Stop. Okay, stop. See, it's doing that thing again. It's not stopping. Keep your eye out for something to go wrong, because it just stopped stopping.
What's this
Remember
is
I told you I couldn't.
Hindenburg?
I had trouble controlling Hindenburg last week when something
Okay.
went on.
All right.
Okay, we need a chapter mark. You betcha. Okay, come on. There we go. Talk about some chit chat. And chapter marks go flying in like magic. There we
Almost
go.
missed it.
It was close. All right, here we go. Muting Steve. This week in our mini series on Chit Chat. Actually, I can't just take that straight. On ch- mm, there we go. This week's episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond is another programming by Stealth, and this week in our mini-series on learning the version control system Git, Bart dips our proverbial toe into branching. Branches allow us as developers to work on bugs or feature enhancements as a separate place from our stable code and only merge the code back in when the bugs are squashed or the features are stable. We don't actually get much practice in this installment, but rather Bart talks to us about the idea of having a strategy for when to branch and how to name your branches in order to prevent chaos. He gives us some simple and yet difficult to adhere to strategies, and that I think we gave Shy privileges to talk right while I was recording.
Oh, really? Oh, I have Discord. Do I have Discord muted?
I don't know, but
I have Discord muted. Hold on. I need to unmute Discord.
I heard it too.
So you have Discord.
Oh, we heard him practicing.
Okay. I better unmute Discord. Hold on.
Oh, should I mute Discord and but I want to hear him when he actually does come in. He was practicing.
Okay, let's mute Mimo.
Well, I did mute Mimo. But Shy, wait till I break until you.
Well, I got him muted again. I have muted again. I was just playing around. I finally figured it out, but I did it. Apparently, I did it while he was practicing.
Oh, so you can actively just we could unmute
well,
Jill right now?
I had to. I changed his role, and then I had to dig around for some settings.
Well, let me see if I can just unmute Jill. No, I can't.
No, it doesn't work quite that easily, unfortunately.
Okay, well, don't unmute him.
I'm not. I just.
Okay,
Sorry about
I thought
that,
somehow
Shy.
he was not paying attention. What a shock that it was Steve not paying attention to what he was doing. That's good.
Oops.
All right, muting Steve. I'm like, where's that sound coming from? Oh, that's funny right there. So when the sausage doesn't happen spontaneously, we look for ways to cause it. So that was great.
So one thing we have to remember, it won't come through the YouTube recording, just Discord.
Right.
And that's why I didn't hear it, because I had Discord muted.
Okay. All right, muting Steve yet again. Here we go. On Chit Chat Across the Pond this week, it's another installment of Programming by Stealth, and in this part of our mini-series on learning the version control system Git, Bart dips our proverbial toe into branching. Branches allow us as developers to work on bugs or feature enhancements in a separate place from our stable code, and then only merge the code back in when the bugs are squashed or the features are stable. We don't get much practice in this installment, but rather Bart talks to us about the idea of having a strategy for when to branch and how to name your branches in order to prevent chaos. He gives us some very simple and yet very difficult to adhere to strategies, and then he takes us through more rigorous strategies that will actually be easier to follow. He emphasizes that he's not telling us which strategy to follow, but rather to have a strategy. We do a few small examples from the command line, but we get to open our Git GUI clients like Git Kraken and SourceTree and see how the commands we're typing are graphically represented in the clients. It's a good illustration of what Bart has been promising us that the GUI clients are doing exactly what the command line is doing. You can find Bart's tutorial show notes over at pbs.bartificer.net. And if you'd like to support Bart on Patreon, I would like you to go to patreon.com/ltpod. And don't forget to search for Programming by Stealth in your podcatcher of choice. All right. Oh, he's talking about music again. All right. Okay, here comes, let's see, I'm going to do that. There we go. Here we go. Watch this. It's like magic.
It's amazing.
Copy link. Copy. Boom, boom, boom.
How does she do it?
Only with Mike Price's help.
All right. When are we going to listen to Shy?
Well, he should probably send you a note when he's ready.
All right, Shy, you just give me a little message when you're ready.
And then on the
No,
next
no.
break. All right. Am
He
I
says
talking
he's
about
good to
Twitter
go.
next? He's good to go. All right, hit it.
Hold on, I need to unmute him. Okay, Shy, I think you are enabled now. Yes, we can.
We can. It's cutting in and out a little bit.
That's great.
Okay. All right.
So what are we doing? Now, you're going to do Girl from Ipanema, correct?
And so for the video people, you aren't going to be able to hear this. Only people on Discord can hear this.
Yes. Well done.
Wow.
Nice. That is so good, Shy. Really nice.
Okay, so
for
let's
the
make sure we could set up
video audience.
For the video audience, what just happened was Shai Yamini is walking his cat, looks up the lyrics to a song, and then sings it to us on his cell phone halfway across the country in order for us to hear it in Discord for the live NosillaCast.
And by the way, it's kind of good we didn't put it on YouTube because this would have gotten taken down.
Ah, good point.
Yeah. Now, if I had sung the song, probably not, because people wouldn't recognize it. But Shy singing it, it probably would. Well done, Shy. That was. Is that hard for you to sing? Because the chord changes are pretty subtle there. We could not tell.
I heard a horn beep at one point.
I did
That's
hear the
only way I
horn,
could
yes. That was a treat, Shy. Thank you so much. Really fun. And good to hear your voice, too.
Yeah, definitely. Time to come back on the
Oh,
you lost your voice?
Oh.
Oh, I didn't know you caught COVID. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Oh, my gosh.
First performance since he got his voice
I
back.
think with the audio quality of a cell phone on a street while walking cats through Discord, you're going to be glad this wasn't actually recorded on YouTube.
I thought it was pretty good.
I mean, it was good. All right. Well, I do want to let the YouTube people back in, but and I probably should do some more recording at some
Probably should. Thank you for the entertainment, Shy. Made
nice
my day.
to hear you. Alrighty. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna mute him just to make sure.
Yeah, in case he's like.
In case his
swearing in
cat
traffic or
starts
anything.
meowing.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. All right, muting Steve. By the way, the phone is probably at a point where you could. Oh, I don't know if it is charging. Interesting. We'll have to check on that. All right. I am going to start recording. Here we go.
Hold on. And why am I not hearing you, Al? Al, do you hear me? Are you hearing Allison chat room? Because I'm not. We're back to. I will be back. All right. Chat room, sorry about this. Allison's audio interface apparently went down, like hardware failure. So she's replacing that. Bear with us while she gets that back online. That's why we lost her audio, it appears. And it may have been an intermittent failure in the past and why we lost her audio the past couple of weeks. Yeah, it is good timing. Do you hear me? Do you hear me, Al? Al, do you hear me? Well, I'm beginning to think it's... Lost you. Lost you. So I take it you don't hear her in Discord either. No, we lost you. No audio. Thank you, Shy. We had her for a while. I don't know what happened. I think she changed the setting. No audio. There you go. There you go. Yes, but can you hear me? Can you hear me? Apparently not. Because there's a lot of feedback coming here. How about now? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Do you hear me now? How about now? Test. 1, 2, 3. I don't think it is, Kurt, related to when we muted Shy. These are two independent things. This is happening over at Al's station. Yes, we can. How about you? Can you hear me? No, not related. One, two, three. Do you hear me? Turn on Discord. How about Discord? Turn on Discord. In sound source, do you have them both on? Okay. 1, 2, 3, testing. How about me? Do you hear me? All right. Did you change in Discord? Did you change your output source, your output device? What are they plugged into? What are they plugged into? Okay. Let's see if we can hear your playback. Wait, where can you not hear me? Really? Wait. Well, there's a delay on YouTube of half a minute. So, are you up to speed, Rose? Are you listening now? And can you hear Allison now? I lost you now. Okay. She quit Discord. She'll be back in. She's coming back. Okay, I got you back on you. I can hear you. What? And the unique thing running is Mimo Live during the live show. The unique thing running is Mimo Live during the live show. I don't think anything. We just have a blank period on you, but you'll come. Yeah, we did. All right. You can't hear Steve on Discord, Sandy? Is that what you're saying? Wait.
Discord.
We can only hear Allison on Discord. Oh, meaning you can't hear her on YouTube? I'm not sure what we can only hear Allison on Discord means.
I can see you're talking. Oh, wait a minute.
English is so ambiguous sometimes.
What am I listening on?
You cannot hear her on Podfeed and YouTube.
Alice Mike.
Really? Because I can't.
Window. Okay, now I can't figure out where should I be hearing things? Steve, I don't even know. Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
I don't even know in Mimo Live where I hear myself. Do you? Or where I would. No, like what?
You
what
mean where
headphones?
you'd hear?
I'm afraid that the headphones are what are messing it up. Why I can't hear you.
Not familiar with your controls on Mimo. I could come by
You
and
know
look.
I can't hear you, right?
I'm not familiar with your controls on Mimo, but I can
But I
come
mean,
and look.
on your version of Mimo Live, where do you change how you're hearing it?
I don't. So I use the audio monitor on the right panel.
Audio aux?
No, audio monitor.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Actually, no.
All right. You know, at this point it is 5:41 p.m. and I'm about 5 minutes into recording the show. So I'm going to finish recording because everybody can hear me, everybody can hear you. I just can't hear you, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Just leave one ear off.
Yeah, I've got one ear off and I'm hearing him through the door. Awesome.
Let's go. Let's fire this baby up.
All right, giddy up. Okay, I'm going to mute Steve. No, I guess I won't do anything. I'll put my headphone on, then I can't hear him. All right, here we go. Well, you might notice a change in my microphone right here, and that's because my audio interface failed in the middle of doing the live show. So we've been having a lot of fun doing some sausage making here, but if you notice a change in the tone, I'm not sure. It might sound exactly the same, but I have moved from the Apollo Solo Thunderbolt 3 interface to the Shure MVI USB interface that I used to use. So maybe it sounded exactly the same, and I didn't even need to tell you. But let's keep going. I entitled this next article, Increase Engagement on Twitter Using Image Descriptions, partly to be clickbaity, but you know what? Also because this tip is going to do exactly that. If you'd like to reach a larger audience with your tweets, then how about making your images available for those using screen readers? Maybe you think it's not worth the trouble because A, it's too few people to worry about, and B, it's got to be way too hard. Well, let's get rid of the first myth. According to the World Health Organization, there are 39 million people who are blind in the world today. Another 246 million are visually impaired. So yeah, a lot of people you aren't reaching today if you don't add descriptions to your images. Now on to the second part. I'm going to confess something. I thought it was too hard. I think it did used to be hard, but it's trivially easy now. I'm embarrassed that I haven't been doing it before, but I figured if I confessed and I taught you how to do it, then I would have to finally get around to doing it myself. Now, I do want to cut myself some slack. I was talking to Bart today about this tip, and he said it's only been in the last few months that this has become as easy as it is. I'm going to walk you through a couple of the apps on iOS and the Mac, and if you're using a different app or a different operating system, I'm sure you'll be able to translate and get this to work for you. I am not joking when I say this is super easy. It's only a matter of recognizing the words to know and what to look for. It's important to note that your image descriptions will not show by default for people not using screen readers. It'd be really lame if you post like a funny picture or a meme and everyone cited also saw your text saying, "This is a guy looking backwards at a girl while holding hands with his girlfriend and the caption says blah, blah, blah." That would take the fun out of the whole thing of the meme. But you do want to write that for the people who can't see it. In web pages, the term for the description screen readers can see is alt tags, which means alternative text. Some apps use this term, but some use more human-friendly terms. But let's jump in straight away and talk through the super quick and easy steps to add text descriptions to your images so screen reader people can play along. The official Twitter app for Mac and iOS makes it super obvious how to add an alt tag. When you add an image, there will be a title overlay in the bottom right of the image. You'll see a paintbrush, which lets you add, like dopey filters. I hate filters. But right next to that is a little black button with the white letters plus alt. That's what you're looking for. Now, an attempt to be helpful, and it is kind of helpful, the Twitter app pops up a window entitled Add Descriptions, where they explain what these descriptions are and why you'd want to add them. They say, quote, "Good descriptions are concise, but present what's in your photos accurately enough to understand their context." I think that's really great that they give you a little tip there. At this point, you're going to see two buttons. One says sure, but one says no thanks. I get why you'd want to let people back out if they hit Alt plus Alt accidentally, but I sort of wish they didn't give people the option to back out. Once you tweet an image with an alt tag on each device you own, the Twitter app for that device will remember you know what you're doing and won't bother you with that pop-up again. After that, it's clean sailing. Your cursor will be blinking in a field that says, describe this photo, and it shows that you have used up 0 of 1,000 characters. Now, you probably don't want to type 1,000 characters, but I think it's there to just let you know you're not limited to the 280 characters like you are in a tweet. They also have a link to learn more about alt text, which is a nice touch. Once you've written your description, tap Done in the upper right and get on with writing your witty tweet. To recap, on the official Twitter app, after you pop in your image, tap the Alt plus button, type your description, type Done. Tap Done, sorry. Actually, shoot. That's going to wreck the ease. Tweet. To recap. That's interesting. To recap, on the official Twitter app, after you pop in your image, tap the Alt plus button, type your description, tap Done. Come on, how easy is that? That wasn't hardly any work. All right, let's switch gears here. I'm a big fan of Tweetbot on macOS and iOS and iPadOS. They don't make it quite as obvious as Twitter does, but it's actually still really, really easy. You don't have that sure or no thanks page to work with the first time, but that's okay. Drop in an image into Tweetbot just like you normally would and simply tap on the image. You'll see 3 options: remove image, view image, and below that it says add image description. I kind of think it's good that it's in plain speak, but you don't get any education on why you would want to add an image description and what will happen when you do. Next, you'll see media description, where you can type, and below that on the macOS version, they say image description should describe the contents of your image or video. I don't think that's even vaguely helpful to explain what you should write and how you should be concise but descriptive. I don't know, maybe I don't hate that pop-up on Twitter as much as I did before. Interestingly, on iOS, they at least say, add a description for the visually impaired. So Tweetbot has 2 different messaging things there. So to recap, on Tweetbot for Mac, after you pop in your image, tap on the image. Select Add Image Description, type your description, tap Save. That is literally all you have to do. Now, I always like to test things I'm teaching, and I thought I had made a mistake in Tweetbot. After I added the description of me wearing crazy elf leggings into a tweet, I went ahead and posted it. I turned on VoiceOver on my phone, and I, quote-unquote, looked at the image with VoiceOver. And what I heard surprised me. It said, image, adult costume, door. Now, technically, that was correct. It was an image. I am an adult, and interpreting my crazy leggings as a costume was pretty astute, and I was indeed standing in front of a door. But I had added an alt tag, so why did it figure it out on its own instead of reading out what I'd written? Well, I switched over to the Twitter app on iOS, and it read my real description that I had added. That got me thinking that those using screen readers shouldn't use Tweetbot because it doesn't read the real descriptions. But then again, until enough of us add descriptions, maybe that's a good plan. The bottom line is it's shockingly easy to add descriptions to your images, so why not add them? We spent all this time carefully crafting the tweet itself to fit inside the limit and to try to sound clever. Why not throw in an extra 15 seconds to give at least 39 million more people the opportunity to recognize your cleverness? Now, don't tell anyone, but sometimes I put Easter eggs in my image descriptions. Why not have a little fun while you're at it? There we go.
Okay. Whoops.
Yes?
When was the last time you did a chapter mark?
Before all heck broke loose.
So Rick's been imploring you.
Well, I hadn't changed anything.
Good job, Rick.
Actually, I need to change that a little bit. All right, let's go here. What are we up to next? All right. We'll do a chapter mark for... Why didn't my chapter mark start? Oh, I forgot a key. I did not match down 5 keys. I only matched down 4. Oh, and I'm not hearing the... That's interesting. I'm not hearing the blink either. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. To feeder 4. This is actually the longest one. This is going to be the longest show to get 12 minutes done ever. All right. I hope I can keep the class engaged. Okay. The app I'd like to talk about today is not for everybody, and in fact, probably 99% of the NosillaCast listeners will never need it. But it's an app that is 100% critical to the fact that you're able to hear this podcast right now, so at least you have a horse in this race. The app I'd like to talk about is the new version 4 update to Feeder from Reinvented Software. In order to understand why Feeder is awesome, and Feeder 4 in particular is a great upgrade, we need to talk about the problem it solves. As a podcast listener, you subscribe to the shows. That ability to subscribe depends on a plain text file, often called the RSS file or RSS feed or podcast feed. RSS stands for really simple syndication, and it's the magic behind all of the feed readers for blogs and for podcasts. The only difference between a blog feed file and a podcast feed file is that the podcast includes a link on the internet to an enclosure, which is usually an audio or video file. But it could actually be anything. You could enclose an image or a PDF. When I first started podcasting back in, I think it was 1863, I typed this feed file in by hand. I'm not sure when I discovered Feeder. It was pretty early on, but it's a fabulous GUI application that creates the feed file for me in... That didn't make any sense. When I first started podcasting, back in, I don't know, what was it, 1863, I typed this feed file in by hand. I'm not sure when I discovered Feeder, but it's a fabulous GUI application that creates the feed file in... what does in more recent history mean? What did I even mean? Again. When I first started podcasting back in, what was it, 1863, I typed this feed file in by hand. Now, I'm not sure when I discovered Feeder, but in more recent history, I've been able to use it because it's a fabulous GUI application that creates the feed file for me automatically. No longer did I have to type in the secret code of RSS, which is a lot like HTML in some ways, and do things like figure out the exact number of bytes in the audio enclosure file and type it painstakingly in by hand. For example, last week's episode of the NosillaCast was 94,106,478 bytes long, but I don't have to know that anymore. If you want to see what I have to type by hand, you can actually look at it. You can open Firefox or Chrome or Edge, and I've got a link in the show notes to the exact URL. If you put that in Chrome, Firefox, or Edge, you can see all of the text of that little file that does all of the magic. This doesn't work in Safari. That browser tries to make sense of the link and open a podcatcher for you. That's a smarter option, but that's not what we're looking for right here. With Feeder, I don't have to do all of the heavy lifting of formatting that file and knowing things like how long the episode was and typing all that in. Instead, I spend my time doing more value-added tasks like writing the show notes you see for each episode in your podcatcher. I love that Feeder lets me type in both HTML or Markdown, and I can even mix and match within one episode. Another huge benefit to me of Feeder is it makes it super easy for me to create the full Chit Chat Across the Pond feed and the 2 sub-feeds for Chit Chat Across the Pond Lite and Programming by Stealth. First, I create the episode in the main Chit Chat feed, no matter which one it is. Then I test to make sure it worked by opening a podcatcher, and I verify the episode was delivered as expected. Then all I need to do is drag the episode from the main Chit Chat feed either into the Lite or PBS feed, depending on what flavor I've done that week, and then I hit the publish button. The only tricky part is on the Programming by Stealth feed. I need to remember to change the title to remove the CCATP part at the beginning, and I almost always remember to do that. One of the problems with starting a podcast 128 years ago is that it's hard to break out of the old ways of doing things and realize there's easier ways to do things these days. I'm not one of those, I've always done it this way, so leave me alone with your newfangled ideas type of person. It's just that I don't realize sometimes how much easier things could be than the way I've always done them. It turns out Feeder has had a capability for a very long time that I didn't know it could provide. But once I found out it could do it, I still procrastinated on implementing it. Let me explain the way I used to do things. Feeder creates the text file, which is that RSS feed I talked about, and I said it points at the enclosure file, which is the audio file of the actual podcast. But that audio file doesn't live on my server with the RSS feed. I store the audio files on a server owned by a company called Libsyn. To get the audio file from my Mac to the Libsyn server, I use FTP, also known as File Transfer Protocol, with a tool called Transmit from Panic Software. Now, Panic is an awesome FTP tool, and I use it for lots of other stuff, but since my audio files always go to the exact same drop location on Libsyn servers, I was able to create what's called a droplet. That's a small file onto which I can drop the audio file, and Transmit whooshes it up to Libsyn without me having to launch Transmit. I put the droplet in the menu bar of my Finder windows, so it's always right there when I need it. Now, once I've dropleted my audio file to Libsyn, I go to Feeder and I enter the URL where the audio file will go. It's long and annoying and has a redirect through Blueberry that helps me do some metrics on downloads. As long and as annoying as it is, at least it's predictable, especially since there's a pattern to my naming convention on the files. I wanted to automate that, so I created a text expander snippet so it's not hard to type. Once I've gotten the URL in there correctly, there's a little gear in Feeder with a dropdown, so I can ask it, fetch the attributes for me. It then figures out the file type, which is usually audio/MPEG for my show, and then it calculates that length in bytes that I mentioned earlier. Now, I forgot to mention there's one step that had nothing to do with Feeder but becomes relevant to the story. I wrote a script that adds the ID3 tags to the file, which is necessary for podcatchers to understand the file. And then my little script also puts in my album artwork. I put the script in my menu bar of all my Finder windows along with the Libsyn droplet so I can drag and drop the file on my script before dragging it into the Libsyn droplet. Now, the reason I told you all of that is because evidently for ages, Feeder has had an FTP client built into it. It's not that dragging the file onto the Libsyn droplet is all that hard, but if I use the FTP service built into Feeder, I can drag the audio file into the Feeder episode, and it automatically calculates the length and the file type right on the spot. And get this, Steve Harris, the developer of Feeder, told me I don't actually have to add all the ID3 tags to the file and the album artwork anymore. I don't even need my text expander snippet for the URL because Feeder enters it all for me automatically. So 3 automations and 1 entire application are completely unnecessary now with my new workflow. I will admit that I borked up the feed for Chit Chat Across the Pond the first time I tried this because I'd misconfigured Feeder, but Steve Harris very quickly showed me my mistakes, which, by the way, we both blame on the incredibly screwy way that Libsyn stores files. He also taught me a much easier way to experiment without messing up the real feed next time. I still borked it up a little bit. Some of you may see the name of Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice with the word test in it, but I think it'll go away the next time I upload an episode. All of this preamble is a way of telling you how much I appreciate Steve and his work on the app. But I've been using it for 56 years now, and I've only paid him once. He never charged for the countless number of enhancements he put into Feeder over all these years, like adding that double secret FTP tool I'd never used. But finally, Steve is going to let us pay him for all his hard work because he's just released version 4 of Feeder with some nice enhancements. The single biggest enhancement is that the logo is really pretty and modern now. Of course, I'm kidding about it being important, but seriously, it's a really cool logo, and his old logo was looking as antiquated as I am. The interface of Feeder 4 is very similar to before, with a left pane for all the feeds for all the shows you manage, which is actually 6 for me. The center pane is the list of episodes, and then the right pane reveals the currently selected episode. But Feeder 4 is updated for macOS Big Sur and built for Apple Silicon. It's very pretty and elegant, but it's still familiar for people who use the older version. One of my favorite new features is the ability to preview your episode as podcast. What that means is when you view as podcast, it looks just like it will in the podcast app on iOS. It has a play button, it shows the length of the show, the episode notes are nicely formatted, and there's a pretty little link to the episode webpage. I haven't got my nerve up yet to try the biggest enhancement in Feeder 4. You can now collaborate on a feed with other Feeder users. That sounds terrifying. In a way, it is. Think about how much trust you have to have in someone to share what is literally the thing that connects me as a podcaster to you as the listener. But there are two people I trust with the feed, Bart and Alistair Jenks. They're probably more careful than I am. Well, not probably. They are more careful than I am. I trust them both implicitly. Without this new collaborative option, Bart and Alistair can always download the feed, edit it by hand, put it back up there, and when I get back from a trip, I can download the feed they changed, and I'm right back in sync again. But with Feeder 4, I can share the feed with them. We can work on the same version with no download, upload, download, dance, which has more chances of operator error. As I said, I haven't gotten my nerve up to try it, partially because I'm chicken, but partially because I'm not going anywhere or doing anything adventurous. But it could be useful for the future. The last big thing that is new about Feeder 4 is that you can sync your feeds via iCloud. Lately, I've been bouncing back and forth between my 2019 laptop and my 2016 laptop because the older one is on macOS Big Sur and I want to play with the new hotness. One of the reasons I like Feeder so much is because it's really fun to annoy Steve Harris. As I played with Feeder 4, I wrote him emails right and left about all the weird things I'd find, and I'd try to save, and it wouldn't let me, and then I'd close the window, and it would ask me to save. But here's the funny part. I was evidently beta testing for him when I thought it was the released version. He didn't tell me I was the beta tester. In any case, it took a bit of faffing about to get the iCloud syncing to work as expected. I mean, isn't that always the case? And I suggested an improvement that I think he's going to implement. When you toggle on iCloud syncing on Mac 1, everything is dandy because you're just pushing up what you've got. If you've never used Feeder on Mac 2, everything will also be dandy because when you allow syncing, all of the data will come down from iCloud, but now both Macs will stay in sync. But Mac number 2 in my case was an old clone of Mac number 1. So it had the same feeds, but they were very much out of date and some consequential changes had been made. When I turned on syncing in Mac 2, there was a big orange button that said Use iCloud and a little checkbox that said Merge with iCloud. That sounded swell. At this point, I can tell you can all hear that minor chord of the soundtrack right now. You know, like when you're watching someone back into a room in a horror movie. You know this was going to go wrong, that it said Merge. Of course, it turned into a dumpster fire of half duplicates. Rather than blame myself for being an idiot, not realizing that merging in my case was a very bad idea, I suggested the problem was the communication in that window. Luckily, Steve agreed after chastising me that I hadn't beta tested the iCloud syncing part for him before he went live with the new release. He's changing that window to have a big replace button and a big merge button, and the text above will tell you when to use replace and when to use merge. Hopefully, it will keep others from making the mistake I made. Remember, throughout all of this, I wasn't really worried because I can always just delete all of the feeds and download them again. But it would have been a bit of a pain to redo all of the server settings. Of course, I have them documented in a full good guide, but still, it would have been a pain. Steve stepped me through how to replace my entire feeder library from one of my 3 backups, so we got it all sorted. Even if you don't ever want to do your own podcast, I hope you've enjoyed me pulling the curtain back on how these things work, and maybe you know a little more about the technology now. Feeder 4 is $40 for new purchasers or $20 for an upgrade. You can buy it directly at reinventedsoftware.com, or you can buy it in the Mac App Store. I actually chose to pay full price for it because Steve started this software in 2005, and I've only paid him $40 since I started using it. I sent Steve a note telling him I paid full price and how now I'll feel less guilty about annoying him so much. His answer was perfect. He wrote, "Oh, thanks. Normally I'd be giving you the license, but I do appreciate this. And now you can actually say to your listeners that you paid for it and how I, in turn, pay for it every day thereafter." And that's why I love Steve Harris and his app Feeder. Whew. All right.
That's funny.
What's that?
That was funny.
You liked it?
Paying for it every day thereafter.
Oh, he is funny. Wow,
So
I'm
let
at 25 minutes.
Meaning
Meaning I could hold my tiny tip to next week.
you could.
I might
Hey,
do that.
maybe you should.
What's that?
So PDX Kurt ran into a problem with his 3-year-old banging on a keyboard to an iMac, losing all the alt keys, Control, Alt, and so forth.
Yeah.
Is there any accessibility setting that would cause that?
So things like Control, Option, and Alt, and all those stopped working on a keyboard.
Right.
Hmm.
An old keyboard.
I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to think about it. Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I mean, if plugging in a different keyboard works, then that's not the problem.
Yeah, we've asked him to do that, but he hasn't had a chance yet.
Oh, okay. All right. I am going to... All right. I'm going to do something really quick here, and then I'm going to stick in security bits.
All right.
You know, this is the point in the show where normally I would talk about ways you can support the show. I would talk about how you can become a patron, or maybe you want to do a PayPal update. But you know what? Right now I feel guilty asking for anything, because if you've got some spare change, find a food bank to send the money to. Seriously. Don't add to my coffers. There's people who need it more than I do. That was from the heart.
Yes, it was.
I don't have the heart for it.
So, chapter mark, any? You don't do them for
where's
those
the
spots, but
music. How about if I do that first, and then I'll do.
So, did you hear me? You heard me through the room.
What's that?
You heard me through the room.
I heard you through the
room.
The roof? The room? This is good. All right.
Roof?
All right, let's put
That got Tesla's attention.
Okay, Command T. No, Alt T.
He was on first, right?
Nope, that's not it. Option T. Cancel. Hindenburg's locked up. There it goes. I think it was busy. Option T, there it is. And let me drop in Bart. And we should get a plink here. Where is Tesla? I think I banished her.
She's snoring over here.
Is she? All right, let's hear a real quick plink. Blink.
Oh, it was quiet.
Yeah, it was. I didn't hear it at all.
Well, you're not hearing anything, right?
No, I can usually hear Hindenburg.
Oh.
That's very interesting. Why am I not hearing Hindenburg?
I don't think... Is there a cut in your headphone cable?
No, I'm sorry. I'm monitoring my own voice. I can hear myself through Audio Hijack, but that is... I thought I could hear this. What's that time of the week? There it is. Okay, it must have
just been very quiet.
Blink. Yeah, that was it. Okay. I need to expand this and slide these two over. Let's see. Let's just move Bart.
So that was a security bits you just popped in there?
Yeah. And that, and then I'm going to cut that one. And then I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to zoom back out, and I'm going to drag both of these over. Everybody got that in their head now?
Yes, I do. And unfortunately, Shai has to leave.
Oh, no. Okay, here we go. There's people who need it more than I do. First, there's people who need it more than I do.
Wow, that's quiet. Really quiet.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time. I'm saving like crazy because it is not acting normal. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for security bits with
yes.
shots. I'm coming to you from a freezing cold house. How are you doing today? Okay. Well,
I think it's the YouTube live input.
What's that?
It's the YouTube live input that's quiet.
Okay. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for security bits with Bart Boost Shots. I'm coming to you from a freezing cold house. How are you doing today, Bart?
I'm doing fine. We had a daytime high of 1 Celsius today.
Okay, but it's not cold inside your house. Our furnace is broken, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants, and I've got a blanket, and I'm sitting on my hands and holding coffee intermittently between the two. So,
Yeah, and you're also not. You're used to a California climate.
okay. I'm going to move him just a smidge to the left. So how are you doing today, Bart?
I'm doing Celsius today.
Okay, but it's not cold in. Okay. Go to the end. All right. And I think that's the end.
They were told about a problem. Is to always remember to stay patched so you stay secure.
All right. Yes. Hang on, I gotta delete the tiny tip. Nope, I gotta move it to another one. If I don't do it that way, I won't remember. So 814. And see, number 814, and we'll put that there, and we'll do save. And then we'll do this. All right. Well, that is going to wind us up. I got to tell you, you really want to come to the live show, and I'll tell you why. Tonight, Steve was talking during the live show to the audience in Discord about how Shyamini had posted an article about the making of the song "The Girl from Ipanema," and I asked Steve to sing it. Steve wouldn't sing it. I hummed it. People typed in some things. And somebody, I don't know, maybe it was my idea, maybe Steve's, I forget, suggested that Shyamini actually sing the song. And Shy said, okay, give me a minute. Let me look up the lyrics. So we piped Shy into the live show, walking his cats, which is a whole story unto itself. And he sang into his cell phone while walking his cats half a country away from me and into the live audience, and we got to hear him sing. So if you don't come to the live show, you just miss stuff like that. So I'll say it one more time. You want to go to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and that's the kind of great stuff you can hear. Unfortunately, it wasn't recorded on the YouTube video for technical reasons. But anyway, don't forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You can do that by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com, and you can follow me on Twitter @podfeet. And I'm going to skip over the calls for money because you're going to send money to a food bank. But if you want to join in the fun of the live show, I said you could go to podfeet.com/live. If you want to join our Slack community where we got a lot of fun stuff going on, podfeet.com/Slack. And if you don't want to join our Facebook community, that's podfeet.com/Facebook. And I want to give a big shout out to Kevin, who hasn't been with us in the live show for a little while here, but he will be back soon. He is mending well finally, and we all miss him. Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed. That was a lot of winging it.
Yes, it was.
And I don't know if Steve can hear me. I think he can.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I'm hearing through the doorway. Made it.
This
and
is
an hour and 10
technology.
minutes long. That's pretty-
Technology at its finest.
What's that?
Technology at its finest.
Yes, technology at its finest.
Do we have a string and 2 cans?
We should have had a string of 2 cans, he says. Thanks for listening.
Wow.
And stay subscribed. There we go. A small lid keyboard protector. Oh, that's fun. Oh, I saw a great meme. It'll be too short to find it right now, but it was a 2-year-old solution to the trolley problem. So it's this 2-year-old, his dad has a little train track set up with a Y in the train track. And he's got one person on one track, and he's got 4 people, like little characters, laid down on the other track. And he asked the little kid, he says, which way are you going to go? You know, you're going to kill all these 4 people here or one person over there. The kid reaches over, grabs the one person, puts him on the track with all the other person, but then makes the train run over all 5 of the little characters.
That's one solution to the trolley problem.
Nice little psychopath,
Yeah.
you know, growing
Let's
right
just
there.
hope the automated cars don't pick that choice.
That was pretty funny. All right. Well, I would like to get going. I'm sure you would at 6:15. Thank you very much for coming. Love everybody. Bye, Rose. Cut us off, Steve.